guys, welcome back. It's the Bougie Black Hippie. If this is your first time joining me, make sure you go back a couple videos and watch my introduction where you learn more about who I am and why I started my channel. If this is not your first time, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Today we're going to talk about shame. And I know shame is a topic that most of us care not to discuss, which is probably why I'm talking about it. So I am reading Brene Brown, The Power of Vulnerability. And this entire channel for me is about being vulnerable and sharing my story in hopes that I can help someone else change their story and heal. So in The Power of Vulnerability, she mentions shame. I'm just going to read her definition of shame because I do not have it memorized. She defines shame as the intensely painful feeling or experience of believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love and belonging. Something that we've experienced, done, or failed to do makes us unworthy of connection. So, shame tends to cause us to focus on who we are as a person as opposed to our behaviors. And now we all know that fat shaming is a thing in our culture. It literally just became okay to be fat. When I was growing up, being fat was not okay. It was shameful. Nobody wanted to be fat. So for someone who grew up in that time, it has been difficult for me to overcome all of the shame related to not being in shape. And if you watched my previous video, you know that I mentioned that I've been plus size since I was a kid. So in reading this book, took a step back and thought about some of the times that I have felt shamed in my life and some of the things that people have said to me. So I just want to share a couple of those things. I took some pictures with one of my aunts, and I thought the pictures were really cute. We looked really good. And one of the photos, we had our arms side by side, and a close family member looked at it and laughed and called us big arms. Now, mind you, it wasn't their intention to cause harm or cause shame, but it was fat shaming. In another instance, we were in the drive-thru at McDonald's and I wanted a caramel sundae. And the close family member that I was with said, "Remember, a moment on the lips is a lifetime on the hips," in an attempt to discourage me from ordering this caramel sundae. And it did nothing to encourage me to want to take care of myself. So I feel that their intentions were good. And most times people's intentions are good. And if their intentions weren't good, then it was them just projecting their shame onto me. And neither of those work. So my approach was to eat more, to hide out in my car and buy snacks and eat things that I didn't need to eat, to fuel myself with chips and cookies and candy, and eat the burger with both pieces of bun, and go to McDonald's and order the sundae. And then I think, and this is actually kind of a discovery as I talk through this for you guys, that photo comment probably fueled my dislike for taking photos. At one point, anytime the camera came out, I was hiding behind the camera. I did not want to be in the front of the photo. I was always in the back. You could barely see my head peeking over. So actually recording videos and posting them for the public is a huge accomplishment for me, for someone who always hid behind the camera. Shame grows in silence, shame grows in judgment, and shame grows in secrecy. So all of the shame that was projected onto me then caused me to be even more secretive and be even more introverted and not want to deal with my problems directly. Doctors tell us all the time, one of the first things that happens if you are a person of size, one of the first things that a doctor says when you go into the office with any complaint is you need to lose weight. You're too big, you're overweight, you're obese, you're this, you're that. There's no empathy for how you ended up in this situation. And there is no concern for how you get out of the situation. There's merely judgment of your physical appearance. Shame and judgment does nothing to fuel a person towards living a better and healthier life. So we have to stop fat shaming people. We need to start using different methods to get our point across and to show empathy and concern. Your underlying message should not be of judgment of my physical appearance. All it does is cause a person to find a different way to feed their addiction. And that's exactly what I did. How do we overcome from shame? Well, we have to redefine ourselves. We have to redefine our behaviors and use them as learning lessons and not consider that they are a reflection of the person that we are. The story that we tell ourselves matter. So we need to unlearn these negative thought patterns, redefine ourselves, change our story. As I stated last week, make sure that we are presenting as and working towards becoming the person that we want to be, and not the person that someone else told us that we needed to be. You can do this through traditional talk therapy, through non-traditional methods of therapy. There's hypnosis, there's energy healing, which was my method of healing, and I will share more about that in upcoming videos. There's journaling, of course. There are support groups. There is choosing to spend time with people who pour into you, and then know that you are worthy. You were born worthy. There is nothing that you need to do. There's no particular way that you need to look to deserve the most amazing life. Release the shame and walk boldly into who you are. When Brene mentioned vulnerability and shame, I wanted to learn more. So I did some further research into shame and how it is linked to depression and anxiety and food disorders. And so it just helped my story to make more sense. So I will put a link to those resources in the description below. As always, love you, mean it, and I will see you next week. Thanks so much.